And that's a frustration to me that's like warranted. You know what I mean? Because
we all
that's
showed
not
up to this ice cream social and there's not enough spoons.
Yeah.
So you have to sit there and eat the there's a million tubs of ice cream.
Toppings everywhere.
Reach in with our hands. Like, you know, we're all complaining about free ice cream, but it's like nobody thought about spoons, and there's no napkins, by the way, either, you know, so you're just walking out of there covered in fucking ice cream and you're all sticky.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like YouTube, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam, an Escape from Tarkov content creator.
And I'm Veritas, and I know when the wipe is.
Yes. We all...
Or maybe I don't.
I mean, Team No Wipe, rise up. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so we have to start with the fact that there was the tweet by Battlestate Games. I saw it like I don't know if it was like 3 a.m, if it was like last night or this morning. I don't know. It's all the fucking same.
Yeah,
anyway.
I always just wake up and check Twitter.
Where it was basically was a picture of a newspaper, and just said hashtag escape from Tarkov, and it was a picture of a newspaper that had like some rubles sitting on top of it, and the newspaper had like a paragraph and a headline and all that other shit, and it got translated. I'll actually read. I should just read Bakizi's translation. The title of the article is "A Fresh Start," which is already a clue. UN is deeply concerned about escalation of the conflict around Tarkov and is requesting parties to cease fire and make a truce. In a joint communique, I guess. Yep, communique. The G30 governments invite the warring parties to sit down at the negotiating table and start a clean slate of dialogue. One of the many abandoned shelters in the suburbs of Tarkov. Oh,
I'm assuming he meant at one of the many abandoned. Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you don't read ahead and you're just literally reading
word for word. Wait a minute.
Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy is a cock. I hate Veritas. Oh, sorry, I'm reading down on the Twitter responses. So there's one other element there that a bunch of people I don't understand. A bunch of people said that they translated the date. And they were saying, oh, okay, that means the wipe is next Thursday. Or maybe they said Friday. I forget what the date was.
I don't know.
But I don't understand, because the date, I don't know what the Russian says. But the number 26 is there.
Yeah.
So it's like,
how could it be? Yeah, it says 26.
But people overlaid the translation, and it said February 20th or whatever the fuck. I'm trying to remember what was the date. Oh no, it was July 2nd.
Yeah,
which is next Friday. I don't fucking remember. I need to scroll down through here.
July 2nd is Friday, but they wouldn't wipe on a Friday.
Wait, Saturday, June 20. Okay. What?
Yeah, I don't know. The date.
So everybody's saying Saturday, June 20. I'm confused.
I'm confused as well.
That was a week ago, Sunday.
Yep. I don't know. But they did that this morning, last night, with the timed that up with the message in game saying that there's raiders everywhere. But it's interesting, man, because I mean, we're going to get all up in all of this stuff, but it's crazy how lore driven they've made this whole thing. You know what I mean? Every other wipe up until this point has been Nikita being we will wipe the game tomorrow. You know what I mean? Or in 2 weeks. This is so if you could, there's so much room for interpretation here, which is kind of dope. But I mean, I'm not saying I'm tinfoil hat. I think there's a wipe. I mean, I think there's not a wipe, but I'm saying there's room for tinfoil hat on oh, the UN is interested. Well, they did all the money, so maybe Peacekeeper's going to be gone or this or that.
Well, we know that they do funky little encoded puzzle thing, like what's it, augmented reality kind of stuff before. So like tinfoil hat stuff. It's only when you're looking for patterns that aren't there. The thing is that like we know that they fucking put in patterns. So now it's just figuring out what's meaningful and what's not, which there's no way of doing that.
Yeah, exactly. There is no way of doing that. So it's interesting. I mean, I definitely the lowest hanging fruit is that it definitely feels like a wipe, a fresh start. You know what I mean? With all the events that have gone on. So Nikita came on Nikita was on a podcast, a Russian streamer's podcast. I forget her name. And Bakizi was doing a stream, and then a few other people were like popping into my chat who spoke Russian, and they were just popping in saying like, hey, like with some stuff that they talked about. Yeah, Sheena 4, I think. And somebody told me that in that podcast with her, he said they don't like to release patches on Fridays or the weekend, that in their ideal day to release a patch would be a Wednesday. So you know what I mean? It kind of makes sense that sometime this week we're going to get 12.11 and most likely a wipe with that, but it's all been very weird. No, you know, they said during the week of the E3 event when Pestley interviewed him, that was 2 weeks ago now, he was like, yeah, we're not going to do a Tarkov TV live for 12.11 because they always do a Tarkov TV live, and they always release the patch notes during those Tarkov TV lives, and they always explain what's going on. And that's the podcast that they always say that there would be a wipe or not. Like, you know what I mean? That's always the, yes, 12.11 is coming. It's going to wipe. We're going to start the Raider event tomorrow. But that's how they do it normally. So 2 weeks ago, you know, he knew they weren't going to do that. He knew they were going to do this stuff. And it's interesting. It's been super interesting. I have loved it. This whole thing. I know, and it's funny. I have loved it. So we can kind of go through the events quickly and then talk about, like, I don't know how much you've played over the past week. You know, I played like each day, so I got basically each of these events one at a time. They started off because and we talked about this, the Killa on Factory thing was happening during last week's podcast. We talked about that. They announced Tagilla. They gave us a picture of him, and then Killa started popping up on Factory, 20% spawn chance. And then I think the very next day after we recorded last week's podcast, they started the all bosses on reserve, 100% spawn chance. How much have you played? A lot of reserve? Have you played any reserve since then? Like, what's the vibe?
I have. I've initiated a large number of reserve raids. Yeah. I haven't played a lot of reserve because I fucking insta die.
Really?
Die. Dude, especially with the fog. I mean, we can talk about the fog after, but like the AI is just broken, dude. It's just busted, and it's not fun.
It definitely revealed, like, not anything we didn't already know. It just was like a showcase of how, because like knowing you were going to run into, like, you know, any one of them at any time. I loved that event so much. It definitely made me like sad about a lot of the AI stuff, and it made me like yearn for them to just like fix it. Like I don't know how to like fix it, but I feel like I could walk into the office and get us 90% of the way there and be like, you know, you worry about the 10%, like how to make these bosses really feel engaging, but you got to do these 4 things and we'll be a lot closer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, what's the radius of their vision?
100%.
Okay, turn it fucking down.
Yeah.
Dial the knob down, whatever the fuck, you know, because like they perceive you. I don't know what the trigger is, whether it's vision or whatever, but like their perception is unrealistically high.
Yeah.
Their reaction time and their ability to aim.
Their aim is
dude, I have 2 clips from the beginning of this stream where I was in Factory. I was up. I had pretty much wiped all of Factory.
Mm-hmm.
And I was up in the like metal walkway, you know, the main thing at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
Fucking goddamn it. I never remember.
I know.
You know how there's like the little metal, like they're like rectangles cut out where you can kind of look and sometimes you can shoot through
100%. Yeah.
So I was looking back towards the back exit. So I'm looking. There's like underground is like below you to the left.
Okay.
The office is to your right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the third floor. And then there's like the forklift down in front of you and the door right to the right.
Yep.
To the bottom of the opposite stairs.
Yep.
A raider ran. He was responding to a player scav. He was like running over to the left towards the underground area. I think he was going to run down the stairs and then go back. He ran from the doorway to the top of the stairs, looked at me and one-tapped me with iron sight MP5 with blue tips in my face.
Yep.
And it's just like, you can't go from not knowing somebody is there to then seeing them and insta one-shotting a 4-inch hole with iron sight submachine gun while moving.
It's crazy. You know what? It feels like their aim is like 100% if you're standing still. Like if you're because what I was going to say was it feels like they're either potato or they're God to your aim. And a lot of the times I feel like their potato is if I'm full speed sprinting from one place to another, and then I hear, a one on Suka, and I'm like, no, get to cover. That's when you hear like bop, 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 and then you get to cover. And then you lean peek.
They miss all the shots,
and they go,
and then you get hit with a grenade.
Just like instant. If you're like stationary or walking slow, it's instant. It's toxic. And that happened to me with Sanitar. This was actually before the event. I was on Shoreline. I was running through the cottages, and I heard him, and I heard the VSS. He was like, brr, 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 brr. He didn't hit a single shot. He took like 20. And then he was running, and he like ran up onto a box, and I saw him, so I stopped, and I was raising my weapon, and we slowed it down in VLC, and it was like 3 frames. He was in a full sprint, and he just went boom, face shot, just like fell over. And I was just like, what? It's crazy.
And that makes perfect sense. Like
the freaking AI needs inertia. It's crazy.
So like, let me just explain what goes through my head when I hear this or when I think about this. Let's just imagine a world, and I have never made FPS AI before. Yeah. I know enough about algorithms and just general AI to know how I might go about it.
Yeah.
I know it's more complicated than I'm just caveating all this with like, I'm not an expert. I'm not saying I know more than those guys, but everything to me points to a really, like, I'm trying to say this diplomatically, inexperienced implementation. Because if you were inexperienced, it's easy to be able to draw a vector between one point and another, between barrel and head, and to say that's a perfect headshot. That's trivial. What's hard is to lead shots where the bullets have travel time. On an AI to predict movement. Like, so that's why they can't hit you, because the AI is dumb, and it's dumb because it was poorly implemented by people who were, it seems as though, unable to add in like the nuance of what makes good AI, and that's being able to respond and predict and like lead shots while also having imperfect accuracy. Like, that's hard. That's the hard thing, is figuring out how do you limit vision, how do you limit you need to replicate the bullet sway, because there's not the arm sway and 100%, recoil, because like they're not affected in the same way that you are. So you need to build that in to make it so that they're not incompetent, but that they're also not like gods. So if I were to give a brand new AI game developer, and I said, you're tasked with making AI for this first person shooter, and I said, just make sure that they're not like useless, like they have to be a threat. Make sure they're a threat. 99% of the time you're going to end up with overpowered, unrealistic AI, and that's exactly what we have. And it's just inexperience.
I get what you're saying. I do, because that's a good thing to acknowledge, that it makes sense that like good AI has got to be hard to code, because good AI has to take into account what's around it, what can the AI see through and not see through. You know what I mean? We know that like the foliage is like JPEGs. You know what I mean? It's like it's not a wall, it's not a thing, so they don't see it. It's basically just like client side fluff for us, but we can't see through it, but that means they can see through it. And exactly, movement, how do you lead shots? Like, because I've talked a lot about, like, I know it's not this simple, but like if on the back end there was like an accuracy knob, and like if there was like an accuracy knob and there was a like how many shots does the AI shoot knob, I would be like, turn down the accuracy, turn up the shots, because like that is like, that's stress. If they're shooting at you, they saw you run behind a wall, they're gonna keep shooting at you. They're clipping you in the leg. If they're shooting at you more, but their accuracy is less, then that's a fun fight where they can sometimes get a lucky shot, but you never fight an AI and they clip your arm and black your arm. You know what I mean? Or your arm and your leg, and you're like, oh, let me get to cover, let me heal up, and then let me fight him again. It's like you either kill them or they head tap you. That's it.
Yeah.
So I've always said that. It's
We've
like,
been
man,
saying this for a while.
I wish they would shoot more at me. I wish they would like go crazy, but their accuracy then has to be lower. You know what I mean? And so, and other simple
we talked
things
about this
like
not long ago with like it would be better if there was 10 times as many scabs and they were all fucking useless. Because it would promote PvP, because there'd be a lot more shooting and people would survive. Yeah. You wouldn't just roll up to either a dead PMC or 10 dead scabs and they're all looted already. Yeah. You'd roll up on
a fight,
a 1v8 v1 v2 v3 where it's just a bunch of teams that are all surrounded by AI that aren't insta killing you, and you're also not insta killing them, because it's hard to, I mean, you went shooting not too long ago.
Yeah.
It's, if someone's 30 meters running and you're at all like winded, tired, you got a backpack on, you're not, it's moving your mouse 3 inches to the upper right, hitting shift so that you hold your breath, and then just waiting for somebody to walk. Yeah. You're playing Guitar Hero at that point. Yeah. It's like, bing, you know, like, it's a timing thing. You have to play that game in real life, but you also have to do the timing, but then also control with your heart racing, and your lungs are fucking on fire because you're trying to control your breath, and you know you're tired and it's windy and whatever. Like,
yeah. So it definitely brings up a lot of that, where like all week I was like, bro, they just need to do this, they just need to do that, guys. Like, I think like you were just saying, it makes more sense to have more of them, you know what I mean, than less, because like Killa can be, once again, either a complete and utter pushover or way too OP. Sanitar's the same way. Like Reshala and Gluhar have always been my favorite ones to fight, because they feels like a fight. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you catch them in that, you know, in one of those pawn buildings, and you're like going up a floor, you see one, boom, you go up to a room, there's another one, boom. It's like a 5-minute ordeal, and that feels so, you feel so accomplished. When you swing a corner and Killa's got his back to you and you just go, and then he falls over dead, you're like, sick. You know what I mean? You go loot him and hope he's got a red key card, and you're like, that fight was over. Or the inverse happens where, you know, you're shooting him. This happened to me. I have a clip. I swung a corner and I had a 5.5A1 on my M4, and I hit him 5 times in his face shield. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dead. And his gun on my client side, of course, is facing straight up into the sky. But he, you know, one taps me with a Golnik. And I opened up Battle Buddy. I was like, bull crap. And I was like, oh, I need 6 shots to that class 6 face shield to kill him. And I hit him with 5. You know what I mean? It's like, and there was no aim punch. I'm hitting this mofo in the face. Like, by, you know, any other person, it would be like, you couldn't see, your gun would be up in the air. But he just, so it's just one or the other. So I've always liked more the better. It'd be interesting if like guards like Gluhar, where it's like, as long as Gluhar's alive, he's spawning in more. Like, he can only have like 6 guards alive at one time, but if you kill 2 and Gluhar's alive, like, what if like 2 more spawn underneath and they'll like push up to him? Like that would be so fun if you're healing and CMSing and they just like they just come back.
It's like a boss battle where like the minions regenerate. Yeah. So you have to kill all of them.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you can't just like pick one off and then wait 20 minutes and heal, and then pick another off and then wait 20. Yeah, no, that would be sick.
It would be sick. It would be way too abusable, because people would just farm that way. They would keep Gluhar alive. They'd close him in a room or something, and then they would just farm him. But it would be sick. But anyways, that's frustrating. The other side though has been, I love that event because I don't like reserve that much. I don't play reserve very often. And so I already survived very little. So I continue to survive very little this week, but it was chaos and I loved it. I loved the constant battle. I loved hearing fights going on all the time. Like, because late game Tarkov is, if you hear one gunshot, you just push towards it. You're like, oh, that's in pawn. I liked being in my own fight, hearing another fight, hearing Sturman over there, knowing that someone was shooting the AGS all the way up at Dome, and me having to like remember and be like, okay, if I win this fight, I'm going to loot up and then I'm going to go there. I have to worry about these guys. Like, the chaos was amazing. Catching PMCs off guard because they're worried about scavs. It was just not Tarkov. It was just not shift W player gunshots and just out Chad me because I suck at reserve. Like, I would rather die to Killa on reserve than, you know, Chad Slayer 42069 for the 39th time, you know? So in that aspect of it, I loved it. I loved the chaos. I loved that they were testing out multiple bosses on a single map. Like, it's crazy because that definitely shows some of what we had talked about last week, where with the whole, like, there's no way they'll fit 40 PMCs on, you know, streets. The servers are so full to the max. It was like, bro, they had 5 guards, like somewhere near 20 minions, 12 or 14 players, player scavs still, regular scavs, and raiders.
And it performed exactly how it's performed.
No better or worse than any other reserve raid. Yeah. So I was like, that was cool. It was cool to see that basically that's him proving like they can push the limits. The performance hit is not,
and it's proving my networking.
Yes, 100%.
theories.
Yes, exactly. They're proving that the performance is not linked to like how full a server is. You know what I mean? And more linked to networking.
Yeah, they surely have lots of optimization they can do. But the biggest issue with oh shit, I didn't mean to hit that button. The biggest issue with the performance is the server code.
Yeah.
Bugs that cause it to freeze.
Yeah.
That's what causes everything that people claims are cheaters, desync, stutters, all the janky movement, the teleporting, the speed hackers, all of that stuff is all one issue in the server code.
Yeah. It's not saying that there are no cheaters, but like it's to say that every basically like bug that's experienced can all be attributed to one thing. So anyway, so that was all bosses on reserve. Then we get hit with the free labs and Gluhar's on labs. Have you been playing? I know like back in the day you were basically a labs main. And did you hop back in at all with the Gluhar and the free labs?
Yeah, I did. And then all that Gluhar on labs does is make it so that there's twice as many raiders that can see you and shoot you and will hit you from unrealistic distances. So it just made it less fun. Like I love to be able to go into labs and like remove raiders and remove cheaters. Just being able to like creep along like the top fucking area and be able to like kind of hide behind bushes and whatever. Like I feel like I am wearing a bright pink flashing neon like light, because as soon as like literally as soon as you peek your fucking half of your eyeball out of a door jam, they're all like, ah! And throwing grenades and like shooting at you. And it just comes to the ridiculousness of when you're sitting there and I've got my contrast turned all the way up, my fucking brightness turned all the way up, and I've my post effects settings, and I like can't see across the room. Yep. And they had their backs turned to me. Oh, and then and they just 180 start shooting. It was just more. It's more of the same that is frustrating, because I feel like I can't play aggro, because then all of the players that are all just sitting around, you know, either being like scared or they're just playing normally and like sound whoring. If I'm playing aggro and running around and stuff, I'm gonna get shot by a player. Because I'm making a fucking racket. If I creep around, I'm just gonna get destroyed by AI or a player that sees me and I just don't happen to see them because I'm slow walking. So I'm the easiest fucking target. Both of those things just make the game unfun.
Yeah. I definitely kind of pinged my community a few times, and there were a lot of people that were trying out labs that don't normally, which was cool. And then I played labs, but two of the nights since it's been out, I almost exclusively played labs both of those nights, and not one single like suspected cheater. I didn't report anybody. Even to be honest with you, the fights were more fun. I felt like I was playing a lot more. I was playing against a lot of players that were my skill level. Like normally when I play labs, like I respect those guys. I don't like the way labs is played, which is why I don't play it a lot, but they play labs better than me. They know how to do they know all the angles, they know all the peaks, they know all the areas, they know all the flanks. And it's just, most of the time, it's not even cheaters that keep me away from labs. It's just that I feel like I'm playing against gods. You know what I mean? But the past few nights, it's just, I feel like more people are playing it, and I feel like I've been getting in raids with guys my skill level, and most of the deaths, PvP deaths, have been like, yo, GG's. There have been a lot of Gluhar or, random raider nades from Jupiter, a Vogue that, of course, blows up in my retinas, and I die where I'm like, that's stupid. But most of the PvP fights have been pretty fun. But yeah, it's with everything that seems like it's a step forward has its step back, where it's like, and it's not even a step back. It's just, it's the same, like you were saying, it's the same frustration, just enhanced. It's like, it's really cool. The thought of having a scav boss just bust in on labs is amazing if the scav bosses worked well. You know what I mean? If their AI wasn't crazy. So it's like, they do a thing and I'm like, oh, this is so sick, and I can see the potential of it. But then it's like, man, like, you just keep cucking yourself because these 2 or 3 issues just keep coming up. Every time you want to do something cool, they keep coming up, and it's hard. And then I couldn't believe it. This was the only thing that's happened. I have been loving these events. I've been loving the lore, bro. And my chat can attest, the only thing that full blown had JesseKazam tilted was the stupid Sanitar change. I don't know how many times you fought him, bro. I haven't fought him once in 6 months. Okay. He doesn't have this anymore. He had 6,500 HP. He had 500 head HP and 1,000 HP in every other limb. Both arms, both legs, chest, stomach, 1,000 HP. And both of his guards had that much HP as well. Okay, so wait a minute. So knowing how the health distribution works, that's like, how much head HP you said? 500. Okay, so you're going to need like 10 headshots or like 500 arm shots. Yes. It's so disproportionately. Yes. And it wasn't even 10. I did the freaking math. It was like you needed 6. Assuming it's 50 damage. 16. Yeah, you needed like 16 55A1. And the thing is that it's Sanitar. What does he have on him? A Grizzly and a CMS kit. If you did 13 shots to the head, he runs around the corner. He doesn't wear a helmet, so he has nothing to repair. He just Grizzlies his head all the way back up to 500. And you have to start again. I'm not even sure. Do we know if they actually consume the resources that they have? Because I don't know how many times I've killed a boss or whatever where they're fighting me. They shoot, but then they go to reload, and they're like, I'll run up on kill it and kill him. And his gun has a full 60-round mag, and he's got 2 60-round mags in his. It's like, yeah. Where's the other mag? Yeah, where's the mag? I don't think he uses it. I think it's just like the resources that they have. It's like a collectible backpack loot case. Yeah. But what they have internally is probably completely separate from the items that they have on them. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. But either way, he would just heal that HP back up to 500, and you'd have to start again, right? Because you didn't crack his armor. Sanitar does not wear armor, and he does not wear a helmet. You would just start again. And both of his guards also had that much HP, but they would have gazelles and defender armors on and helmets. And it was funny. I didn't care about losing my money or my gear because I have 70 million rubles and it looks like we're going to wipe. It was content I put out. My last video was 11. The title was 11 solid minutes of Sanitar bullying me. And it was funny clips. Did you think about making it 12 minutes because it was like 11:45? I literally had the thought. I'm like, I wonder if he thought 12, but people would give him shit. That is so exactly 100%. Yes, I knew it. I was gonna name it 12 minutes, but it was 11:45, and I was like, some dick in the comments section is gonna be like, it's within 12 minutes.
I love how I saw that and was like, I instantly knew exactly what went through your head in that whole fucking
100%. 100%. But like, so it was memes and it was content, but like it was really starting to tilt me because it was like so multifaceted. It was like, this is really dumb, right? Like everybody was like, man, do you think they're testing this out for, for Tagilla? And I was like, if they give Tagilla 6,500 HP, I'm going to stop playing this game. I'm going to go be a Star Citizen. I mean, this is like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. No. Like
unless the AI is averse to taking damage, like somebody who's allergic to fucking bee stings and they left their EpiPen at home, like if they can't just run at you and be fine with, even if you kill them, no human being would be okay running at somebody with a machine gun, shooting at them, going blah, 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 and they're just like, yeah, you know what, fuck it, I don't even care. I'm gonna take them down because it's like I've got more HP than they have bullets,
bro.
If they were running and you hit them and they instantly fell over, turned around and ran the other way, whatever, like if they didn't shoot you while they were being shot, that's actually something that would drastically change the way that the AI behaves.
Yeah, but it's too.
Now that I think about
it's too much. 6,500, bro. It was, There were more than one occasion I had an M4 with 3 60-round mags full of 5.5A1, an additional stack of 60 in my container, and I died because I ran out of ammo. Like, because there's 3 dudes, 6,500 HP. That's like 18,000 HP that you have to take care of. And it's like, you're not going to bring War Mage into a reserve raid when you can just as easily run into Killa as you can run into freaking Sanitar. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it was the stupidest thing. It was the stupidest thing in the world. I couldn't get over it. Like, I once again, for the memes, late wipe, like, yeah, I could have just stopped playing reserve. But I found him every reserve raid. I found Rashala once the entire time I fought Sanitar. Every single reserve raid, bro. And it was like, what's crazy is that I think Gluhar has the most health. He's got like 900, something like that, like 890 health. It was so on another solar system from even Gluhar. I mean, like, Gluhar will tank a headshot, you know what I mean, from a big boy round. You could hit him again, he falls over dead. But this was like, you'd catch him, and sometimes it would feel like you would stun lock him, and it would just be like, and they're like turning to you, and they like start healing, and then they would fall over dead, and you were like,
like the T1000, the fucking melted metals, like,
and you're like, oh, that's one of them. You reload your other 60,
and you know how lucky you have to be to isolate one.
Yes.
And to be able to shoot at them I mean, that's the thing with Gluhar, right? There's like 19 dudes with him.
Yeah.
What are the chances that you can ever peek, even if they all have their backs to you, if you peek and you go tap, by the time that you pull the trigger, before the bullet hits him in the head, before the sound or the physics get there, they have already flipped around and started shooting and lobbing nades at you.
Yep.
So you can't even like peek and go tap, tap, and then run away and go to a different window, because that's the other thing too. I already know that they're fucking Terminator eyes. When I run, if I peek from one of the garages, right, and I shoot them from a window, and then I run around, go up the stairs, go to the other corner, up to the roof, and I'm like about to peek out over here, they know I'm there.
Yeah.
Because their perception is fucked.
Yeah. I would pay real money to like sit down with Nikita and just I gotta know, like, were you testing something? Was there a reason, or were you just memeing? Because if you were testing something, please God, listen to all of us. Please don't. Whatever you were testing, throw it away. Like, it's too much. And what was crazy is that it would have made so much more sense to, if you were gonna test that, to test it on Killa. Like, Sanitar is the only boss
Gluhar
that doesn't wear armor. No. Sanitar never, not sometimes,
but he doesn't
never
but he heals.
spawns with armor. Never.
That's the problem.
No armor.
What's his name has fucking P.A.K.A. or whatever. Like, he already has a lot of health. So it's taking the archetype of not a lot of armor and a buttload of health versus a bunch of health and level 6, level 5, which is like Killa's thing. Gluhar's thing is that he's fucking thick boy.
Yeah.
Sanitar's thing is that he heals. So
I just hate that though. I hate the like I would infinitely rather like a boss have level 9 armor that's unlootable, but he always spawn with a key on him like Sturman and you can get dope loot. I would rather that than shoot a naked bald head 16 times before he falls over. I was telling my chat, I was like, it would actually be less immersion breaking if Sanitar was a walking shark man. Like if he was a mythical creature, it would be less immersion breaking. When I go play Halo and I have to shoot the brutes 32 times, that's more immersive than I'm like, Chad player, oh, M61 headshot dead. Oh, another Chad player, boom, M61 headshot dead. Oh, Sturman, boom, M61 headshot dead. And Sanitar with this freaking VSS just running at you and you're like, hold on, reload. And he just stands there and takes it. Like it's so in another plane of existence than Escape from Tarkov. I couldn't get over it, bro. And I fought him every raid.
So the one thing, I actually don't get worried about things like that because it's historically trivial to get Nikita to turn a dial on a value than it is to like build a box with dials. Like
for sure.
So like if he was testing this and if for some reason he decides that this is what we want, right? Like, oh yeah, we're going to have somebody with fucking a bajillion HP. The community would pretty much very rapidly be like, this is a little bit ridiculous. And enough people would complain quickly enough that he would dial it back. And it would be literally like a 2-second fix for him, right?
Yeah.
So those things don't bug me because they're so obviously busted that it's trivial. I'm like, you just show Nikita a clip of that and you say, is this what you want? You know, and it doesn't take an engineering team and research and algorithms to fucking turn that down.
Yeah.
But I do get worried when it comes to, you know, things like VoIP or things like whatever, where I think like the features are going to be designed poorly because those are like, it's like building a house and a cone of paint versus what model house you have.
Yeah, or the foundation.
One thing you can fix easily, you know.
And that's why like I really wasn't worried about it. Like I am the only thing I'm worried about is Tagilla, is that like we talked about this last week. I'm worried we have another boss that's got a lot of his body exposed. He has armor and he has a helmet, but I'm worried about the power creep of the whole like scav bosses, and each one's got, I mean, we talked about this. We talked about this exact thing last week. You know what I mean? The power creep and stuff like that. I'm a little worried, but for the most part, it was frustrating, but I wasn't actually worried about it because I know it's just they've lowered his HP. No Food After Midnight tweeted out they lowered his HP to like 1670, which is still like 2 Gluhars, but infinitely better than 6500 HP. But so that was frustrating. Overall, the freaking reserve event has been super fun. The next thing they did, this might be a little out of order. This is an interesting one right here. Did you see the message from Mechanic about the Bitcoin event?
No.
Like, okay, I wasn't sure if you played that day.
I heard a bunch of people talking about it, and I've seen a bunch of tweets about a bunch of things. Okay, so basically, this is what happened. Mechanic messaged everybody and was like, yo, Escaper, there's a new crypto coin on the market called Tarbank coin, whatever. And it's making Bitcoin increasingly harder to mine. I need all the GPUs you can get. I'll reward you handsomely for them. Yeah, people were saying do the GPU trade, but I never asked what it was or looked at it.
So what happened was two things. With a full 50 out of 50 GPU farm, it now takes 90 hours to produce a single Bitcoin with 50 GPUs. 90 hours. So
I should just sell them to therapists.
Yeah,
is what you're telling me.
at the beginning of the wipe, it was if for 50 GPUs you were under 8 hours per GPU, you could per Bitcoin, you could produce 3 in a 24-hour period. Then they nerfed that, and at 50 it was like 15 hours because they didn't want you to be able to produce so many in a day. And now it's 90 hours per Bitcoin at 50 GPUs. And then simultaneously, there were all these new barters for Mechanic. You could 1-to-1 trade one GPU for one Slick, one GPU for one Fort, Zabralo, 3 GPUs for an items case, 3 GPUs for a Lucky Scav junk box, 25 for a thick items case. It was like 8 for a weapons case, 5 for a 1-to-1 for a Reaper, a TrizureCon Reaper as well, 1-to-1. But you can't, the mount for the Reaper is barter only. So D batteries skyrocketed from 3,000 rubles to 150,000 rubles in 45 seconds. Limhow. And so all...
that wasn't intentional.
No, he forgot. Yeah, they forgot that you can't buy the goddamn mount. 25 GPUs for T7s. Insta sold out, though. But anyway, so GPUs, all these different things. And there was like... And this is what you were talking about earlier. We're like, we know that they've done, puzzle, lore-based, interesting things in the past. Every single thing, every single event was lore-based. We got the postcard for Killa on Factory. We got a new quest talking about how all the scab bosses were meeting for a very specific reason in the flavor text. The Gluhar thing came with a lore thing where it was that like article where they were talking about how they broke in, and then we get this Bitcoin thing, and like Mechanic is telling us about a new coin. The value of Bitcoin is basically demolished. I want all your GPUs. So my thought, I've no proof for this. I don't even think it's necessarily going to happen, but what would make sense is that with the wipe, they shift away from a Bitcoin farm and they have their own Tar Bank coin. And now it is released from this connection to the real world Bitcoin farm, and now they have control over it because this wipe has been insane. We've seen as high as 900,000 for a single Bitcoin. Then they like unlinked it from IRL Bitcoin and they nerfed it, and then they relinked it but at a smaller value, and then IRL Bitcoin tanked. So they had linked it at a smaller value, and then it kept plummeting because of this, and now it's like 160 per Bitcoin. So it would make sense if they were like, this is way too much trouble, because then it's like now all of a sudden the cheaters, it's the economy fault. Like it's just the de facto, scapegoat for everything that's wrong with Tarkov. The Bitcoin farm ruined the economy, so that's why the cheaters are. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, this is way too much trouble than it's worth, and they switched it to something they have control over. But based on that, it was like, it's a possibility.
Either that or Nikita's launching his own current.
Oh my dude, I was talking to my buddy about that. Oh my, and it's actually gonna. Nikita makes a freaking $1 billion market cap on his Tar Bank coin in 24 hours.
Oh my god,
that would be ridiculous. But that was an interesting event too, where like we really couldn't tell if they were gonna unlink the Bitcoin and try something new. I feel like, to be honest with you, that makes sense. Like, I feel like they should do that. I'm tired of hearing about how. I'm tired.
Why it's so arbitrary that Bitcoin was tied to like real world.
Yes, I agree.
Bitcoin.
They could just unlink it and do whatever they want with it.
Because it was arbitrarily like a multiplier anyway.
Yes, and it wasn't linked for like 3 years.
Yeah, like they could have just said, oh yeah, it's linked, but it's going to be 0.00001%. Like, there's so many ways. I don't know. Like, fine, fix it however you want. I don't really care. There's just a million ways they could have done it.
I agree. I just think at this point, it's idiot proof to just completely rename it. Nobody's going to be watching an old video that says it's linked. I've got old Bitcoin farm videos that talk about it.
Oh, I still get comments.
Yeah,
on my
too.
Bitcoin farm.
This is so irrelevant, bro. It's like, look at the date, idiot. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with you. There's a million ways they could have done it and still could do it. But I feel like just completely abandoning that name and starting fresh, we can just clean break. You know what I mean? That would make sense to me. And then We got the message that Fence just really wanted the family to get together. I don't remember what that message said, but it was like, go extract with a friend at an extraction.
It's like, you got to help my super secret folks out, like get them out. You'll know when you see
you'll
them.
know, yeah. And then like Willers was like, yo, I just made 100,000 USD from doing that. And then I was like, oh, that's a really weird event. And then I was like, wait, this is repeatable? And it was just every time. Dude, I have so many hilarious screenshots, bro, of, 14 PMCs smashed in there, all yelling, hold your fire, just waiting for a player scav to come by. And, everybody's just printing money.
Yeah, but the worst part about that though is like, to me, I thought it was fun. Like, it was just fun that like it tested out that was the first time in history where there was a reason not to kill on site, but it made it so that like there was no reason at all to kill on site other than just being a dick.
Yes.
Because it was just so fucking lucrative.
Yes.
But the result of it was a couple different things. So one, I'm just printing massive amounts of money.
Billions.
Which you can say, like, you can have that discussion, and I don't really care about it either way, about whether or not like that'll ruin the economy or whatever. I mean, like, I personally think like the economy was already fucked.
Yeah.
This just took it over it didn't matter to me, actually. Like, I don't really care about the economy. What frustrated me was that it was the equivalent of printing money, but in the same way that, like, when I buy my contact lenses every year, it's always, oh, it's $600, but with a $400 mail-in rebate that you're going to get in the mail 8 weeks from now, you're going to forget about, and it's going to expire.
Yeah.
So it's like you have infinite money, but you just got to go through a bunch of fucking bullshit to get it. So they give you 100,000 USD. So you go to Peacekeeper, and it's like, oh, literally everything's sold out.
Everything, top to bottom.
And then everything that you could want that isn't sold out, like an M4, you can only buy 3 or 4 of them.
Yep.
And then once you do that, you're like, okay, let me mod it. Oh, well, all the mods are all sold out. All the ammo's sold out. So the only thing you can do is go and buy MP5s in bulk and sell them to Mechanic and convert it over to rubles. So it's like, I would have rather just gotten the fucking rubles.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, you printed money, you made it infinite, but I have to do a math homework before I get my allowance.
That was my thing. It was like, why USD? If there wasn't, which it doesn't look like there is, like, I was hoping, and I tweeted this, I was like, I was hoping we've all got USD, we've all got rubles, and then Peacekeeper, or even all the traders, like, we log on tomorrow, there are no traders. Now you have to buy everything at these inflated Bitcoin, the inflated flea market prices, like, but then like a day went by, another day went by, now we got the thing today that kind of makes it look like a wipe, and I was like, why not just give me 12 million rubles? Or even just 1 million rubles, or even 50,000. Like, why 100,000 and why USD? Item, like, I just didn't get it.
Make every item in the game from the traders. There's no limit, and they all cost 0 rubles.
Yeah.
You can't, like, what's the worst that can happen? You fill your stash with what, M4 lowers? Like, you're limited by the size of your stash.
Yeah.
Like, so it doesn't fucking matter, right? Just let us. Without what that does is it has the intention or the intended effect. If they just want everybody to fuck around and have all these cool items or whatever, then do it. Just don't make us have to click 8 billion times through your janky ass fucking UI.
It was weird. I was really hoping.
That's the annoying part.
I agree. I was really hoping there was something. There was some other half to that 100K USD thing, but as of today, it doesn't look like there is. It was weird. It felt like a super weird decision all around. I mean, once again, fun content. We, me and Sealable were playing. We just picked Dallas servers, and we were like, all right, we're queuing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we set up a fight club where like everybody had to bring in hatchet, and the surviving hatchling would come and extract with us and make his 100K. Like it was hilarious. You know, it was content, but it was weird. And then the day after the 100K USD, we got hit with the fog. Holy cow! Did you play any outdoor raids in that?
I did, and I got insta killed by Killa, who I never saw.
Yeah.
So I would have been completely fine with the fog if the fucking raiders weren't everywhere or the scav bosses weren't everywhere, because the fog doesn't exist for them. Yeah,
it was interesting because it was crazy. I mean, I was like, everyone's like, have you seen the fog? Have you seen the fog? I was like, Chad, I played Tarkov before. I've seen it foggy. And they're like, no, not like this. And I got into that first raid and I was like, what the heck? And I agree. It was interesting because it was
would have been so cool.
Nobody was playing any other map because of the event, because of all the events, because of the 100K USD and the scav boss events. So then you go on reserve and it's like, well, all the scav bosses are here and they can see me from a quarter mile away and they don't see the fog. You know what I mean? So, I've lost a bunch of thermals those few days. So then I was like, I'm just going to go play labs. So,
but you can only buy one thermal.
Yeah. Oh, I just had a bunch, but yeah.
So that was the other thing. It's like, cool, I've got infinite money. Let's go to, I can buy one.
And they're not,
if it's not sold out. And then all the other ones on the flea market are 5 million rubles. And it's like, I mean, I have 100,000 USD. I have 5 million rubles. I just don't feel like spending 45 minutes while I'm live on stream
selling
filling
MP5s
up my stash for MP5s.
Yep.
So it's just,
Yep. So and then today we get raiders everywhere, which is a very classic pre-wipe event. They've done that 3 or 4 times now at wipes. Because it was like,
and this is the worst iteration. Because the raiders they're the best they've ever been.
Oh.
I used to be able to kill, like, I remember I tried to get 100 raiders on factory back in the day, and I took in 2 thick item cases and I filled it up. I haven't survived more than 45 seconds.
Yeah.
On factory. It's fucking impossible.
Yeah.
Between the nades, the Killa knee sliding in, like they're too good. When they weren't so broken back in the day, it was fucking fun.
Yeah. So I will say, like, this past week has been interesting. Of course, there's just so many like trolls. It's crazy. I'm seeing so many people that are like, this is just my opinion for sure. So many people are whining about these events. So many people are saying, oh yeah, what are we going to do with all these crappy events, all these stupid events, all these crazy events? Like, I will say that it felt like it got worse as it went because they were compounding on each other. It was like the bosses and the fog, like those are both could be cool, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, the 100K, but then exactly like Peacekeeper didn't do it. It felt like towards the end, like all this stuff started stacking up and kind of creating some weird stuff. But for the first half, man, like people were coming in and be like, why would they do this if it wasn't for a wipe? I was always asking, how long have you been playing the game? I was like, we've been asking for events like this for years. Like, if you're not going to wipe, or even if you are, do something crazy. Put a scav boss somewhere else, add some raiders to the map, do this. And so like, I definitely think that right now with all the events, the market's crazy, the economy's crazy. I think the fog has lifted, but when the fog was there with the bosses, it got weird. But like, I was kind of frustrated.
It's less boring than.
Yeah, I was frustrated with everybody was just being, not everybody, the people that were being so negative and just calling these crappy events. I was like, bro, you 5 days ago you were complaining that the game sucked and the economy sucked and it was just chads, and it's like, it's different. Like, for God's sake, I don't know, man. Like, I loved it. I loved that they tried new stuff. Like, I want more of this. Everybody. From the first event, everyone's like, oh, wipe around the corner, wipe around the corner. And I'm like, maybe. And it looks like there will be. But I'm like, that's the point. I want them to be able to do this stuff without a wipe. I want Killa to show up on reserve for a week just because so many new people came back to the game. I mean, like, the community podcast had like 10,000 people watching it. Like it got people interested. It got people excited. And yes, the boss AI sucks. And yes, the fog sucked. And yes, if you're just a negative human being, you will find a reason to whine like you always do. But for me, I was like, bro, this is dope. And I want more of it. I don't know. It was frustrating.
I'm like encouraged that they're trying something new, even though I haven't been one of the folks. I even did one of those like full screen look at the camera, like content creators. You're the one that asks for these events. So, you got them.
Stop complaining. Yeah.
Shit, where was I going with that? So like I'm encouraged that they tried this and that this is potentially like a framework upon like we now know that they can do it.
Yep.
I don't know if this could have been that it took them 1 second, or it could have been maybe they took a month to implement
100%,
the ability to move. So I'm glad that they did it. I just, as usual, I get so depressed because how do I describe it? Whenever they make these changes, they're made by people who built a system that have never used it or don't think really hard and deep about what the effects are going to be. Like at no point, I'm sure that they just thought like, oh, if there's infinite USD, then that just means like everybody's going to be building sick guns. Like they don't realize that it's like, I would rather have gotten 50,000 rubles than 100,000 USD because it's like it's just less fucking bullshit to go through. So for me, I'm glad that they're trying stuff. I'm glad they're experimenting. I just wish that they had fucking game designers that understood the inner workings of Tarkov really deeply and well enough to know, oh, if you make it so that there's infinite US dollars, we also need to tweak the quantities of things, and we need to also so like you can use it.
Yeah, we need to put you need to put an option on Peacekeeper to buy rubles for USD. Everything in Peacekeeper would have been in stock then, and you could have built a gun with your USD. You know what I mean? Like because that would have made sense. A lot of newer players or more casual players don't get access to large quantities of USD. They don't buy a lot of things from Peacekeeper. He's notoriously the hardest one. What's the trader people ask you? How do you get the cash spent with? It's always Peacekeeper because it's USD. So it's like if you put on Peacekeeper that you can buy rubles for USD and then we're handing it out, it's like, man, a lot of people don't get access to that stuff. That's cool. And everybody that wants to convert it, boom, boom. And that one simple thing would have made it, relevant because then you can actually buy the things with the USD.
Yeah, so I get salty because each of these elements is just a reminder of a thing that I said a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. You should do this extremely simple thing and it'll improve the game. And everybody's like, why? What does it matter? Yeah. Like the ability to, in the menu, change the currency that you're paying because like just have the currency exchange be a part of the transaction. So you can like type in 100 USD and it's like you don't have 100 USD, but then you can just click the rubles button and it just converts it.
Yep. And
I talked about that 2 years ago, and it's like that right there would make so many aspects of the game more pleasurable. The preset system, like all these things, and it would make this feature not suck as much,
Yeah, because
all I'm doing is reminded of the stuff that I've been telling them to do that everybody asks me why, and it's like, this is why.
And
for the next 100 years, there's going to be a million things that people are going to complain about that I'm going to say, you told me I was stupid.
Yeah.
For the thing that I said was the fucking solution to that problem that you didn't foresee.
And that frustration is like understandable to me. Like everybody that's just been whining about the events for no reason or talking about like regurgitating something somebody else said, regurgitating the same thing. You know what I mean? Like some of the
like complaining about the economy.
Yeah.
Who fucking cares? What does that mean?
Exactly. And
their income taxes are going up or their health insurance is going like
exactly. That's the thing. There were so many people that would like scream the game needs a change because the economy's so messed up. And then they do these events, and then these events suck because they messed up the economy. And it was like, bro, you don't know the words you're saying. You just want to complain. You said it was messed up. So if they wanted to mess it up more to have some fun, what if it was so messed up, it wouldn't have mattered. So like that stuff gets under my skin. I totally align with what you're saying where, we'll never know for sure, but it does often feel like a guy doing his job had a really good idea, implemented it well, with just no understanding of this guy's job. And because of that, the whole thing fell off the rails. Like we were just talking about the GPU train for the Reap IR. Oh, we're gonna do the fog event in a few days. Let's get some thermals out there. And then it's like, well, the god dang mount is barter only. You can only barter for one every 3 hours. And D batteries, people were putting up D batteries for 150,000 rubles and paying a 78,000 ruble tax to put them up. and it was like, and so that's what you're saying is like, it was a good idea. It was like foresight. They were like, we're doing the fog event. Maybe we'll do the thing. But it was like a fundamental misunderstanding of other systems that kneecapped the idea. And that's a frustration to me that's like warranted. You know what I mean? Because
we all
that's
showed
not
up to this ice cream social and there's not enough spoons.
Yeah.
So you have to sit there and eat the fucking ice. There's a million tubs of ice cream.
Toppings everywhere.
Reach in with our fucking hands. Like, we're all complaining about free ice cream, but it's like nobody thought about fucking spoons, and there's no napkins, by the way, either, so you're just walking out of there covered in fucking ice cream and you're all sticky.
And it's not, and the other thing that makes it a warranted frustration is that this is not an isolated incident. You know what I mean? This is not the first time it's something like the more this happens, the more comfortable I feel talking about it, because I don't know game design. Maybe this thing flew under the radar because of a legitimate thing. Oh, maybe this thing flew under. But then years go by and you start to feel more confidence in saying like, you guys need to start talking to each other more. You know what I mean? You guys need to hire, 200. You guys need to go on Reddit and hire 250 no-lifers to play the game. These future versions of the game 24/7 and just watch them, because none of them will be able to like link that together, but just watch and be like, why are D batteries 400,000 rubles? Oh, you were going to add the thing, right, where you could buy these. Oh, I forgot. You know what I mean? Like we need some people playing the game to see that stuff.
I don't think it's a miscommunication between different, like, it's not two different people working on different things. It's people are talking about these nebulous ideas, not thinking about how the inner parts work. So Nikita probably said, add a thing and give people a shit ton of money. It's going to be great, without realizing that like turning that money into items. Like, imagine it would make more sense if it was 100 million euro. And it's like, well, there's like 4 things you can buy with euro.
Yep.
So like Nikita would probably say, oh, okay, well then either make it rubles, the equivalent, or do something else, right? Like the idea was there, but it just makes me, I don't know who they need to hire, but like it just makes me want to say like, because I don't know enough people
for sure,
and I wouldn't say like just ask content creators, but like
no,
all I can say is I'm willing to fucking consult if they ran an idea by me. And I'm not the most qualified person for the job, right? So there's other people who could do it better than me. So
what's crazy?
I'll do it for free.
What's crazy is that like this is so fixable via the ETS, because like it happens so fast. Everything, it's 12 hours or less. They push out the Bitcoin nerf, 12 hours or less. D batteries are 400,000 rubles in the market. You know what I mean? They push out the 100,000 USD, 12 hours or less. Peacekeeper is 24/7, sold out of everything. But
there's not enough people on the test server though, because like if Peacekeeper has 100,000 of something, when you do that on the normal servers, it sells out like that.
And the flea market
there's 12 people on the test server, or 50 people, so you also need to know the number of people.
You just have to have the foresight to jump out ahead of it.
You need someone like me. I'm the guy everybody fucking hated in every single meeting at my software company, because I would be the one that said, hey, you can't do that because of this thing, and you can't do that because of that thing, and you just need people that think about things like that. I'm fucking annoying. I know I'm the most annoying person. I'm like, I would much rather be the annoying guy beforehand than be the guy that said, I fucking told you so after the fact when you fuck something up, because then I feel like a dick. Whereas before I feel like, I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying. And you're absolutely right. Like, you're absolutely right. There's, without the, however many, we'll just say without the 100,000 concurrent players, there really is no way to test one of these features fully and see how it's going to ripple through. So you kind of have to just have the foresight. You have to have somebody who thinks, who's played the game enough and can think like, this is exactly how this is going to go. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like you were saying, it's not a content creator. John Doe who's level 70. You know what I mean? I play this game for a living. I'm not level 70. There's plenty of people who are level 70 that aren't streamers. You ask that guy what's going to happen if he gives everyone $1 million USD. He'd tell you, because he'd do it. He's like, well, I'd go to Peacekeeper, I'd buy every single thing I could buy, and then I would sell it for rubles, and that means everyone else is probably going to do it, which means everything's going to be sold out from Peacekeeper. And it's like, it doesn't require a content creator, but it does require somebody who's played the game.
Yeah, you asked Nikita, hey, Nikita, if you had 100,000 USD and Escape from Tarkov, what would you buy? I don't know. Like, he could think of all of the guns that he has on his shelf that he knows they modeled, but he wouldn't know. I mean, maybe he would. I don't know. But like the idiosyncrasies of, I know that it's about this many dollars to build this gun, and that I know that it's these 3 parts from level 3 Peacekeeper, level 2 Peacekeeper, this, and then I need to buy magazines, but then there's a limit so that I need to buy, there's 4 charging handles, but you can buy a limit of 5 of these other things, but then a limit of 4. So that means I can build from the trader 4 full HKs or whatever. But then I'm also going to need, X number of rounds. So like a player who's done that 800 fucking times in a day would know all those things. Nikita wouldn't. And that's again, like, I don't expect him to play the game. So when I'm saying like he doesn't play the game, it's not like a chef that doesn't taste his meal because he's a busy guy. Other people, it should be someone else's job.
It doesn't have to be Nikita.
Hire somebody who does that, or fire whoever is doing it now. I don't want anybody to get fired.
No, but yeah, it's that exactly. It doesn't have to be Nikita. It just needs to be somebody there who's deeply involved in the game, played the game, and can provide that perspective.
But the last thing any of the developers want to do is play the fucking game and spend all day coding.
Very understandable.
And I know that feeling. Like, fuck.
Yeah, that's very understandable. So that the events have been super interesting. The hope, kind of like what you were saying, the bit of encouragement that we pull from it is hoping that, because there's no denying that this level of like tinkering is unprecedented, right? Like the most we've gotten ever is like raiders on every map, and everything is 98% off and all the traders are unlocked for everybody. Cool beans. But like, that's it. That's all we've gotten up until this point. So this is an unprecedented level of tinkering in a short amount of time that was all very planned. Everything had a lore piece. Everything had a picture. Everything had so they took time. They put thought into it. Like you were saying, they did whatever they needed to do on the back end to make sure the bosses would fit, to make sure it would deliver the money, to do this. The hope is that they're taking their copious notes. It's looking like we're getting a wipe next week. They can wipe the slate clean and then see some of this stuff. You know what I mean? That's, I don't know. There might not be anything to show us that they'll do that this time, and because they haven't last time. But the hope is that they're seeing that.
Man, this makes me want to make a video. I'm gonna take notes about like. If I was at Battle State as an engineer, I would be like, okay, this is my initiative that I'm taking for the month. And I would come up with a document or a form or a wiki that was basically like, if you want to make a change, you need to consider these things. And it would be like, if you want to make a change to currency, you need to do these things and the barters and everything connected to. If you want to make a change to item quantity, you need to make sure that like all of the things that it spiderwebs out to, because I know all of the things just from experience over the last 3 years, where anytime they've changed anything having to do with traders or spawns on the map, or HP on the players, or HP on the bosses, or HP on the scavs, or where the spawns are, where the exfil, like all of the things you have to consider. There's 17 other things that are all connected that they always forget. So I might just make a video that's like, hey, and then maybe somebody will fucking print it out on an 8.5 by 11 and put it up on the
tape it to their computer monitor. But at the end of the day, I would rather, have these cool events, be excited about what is going to be tweeted out this morning. Like the past 5 days, bro, I wake up and the first thing I do is I grab my phone and I'm like, bro, what's happened today? You know what I mean? Like I think, I don't know. I just, what I so want, and I know that it's too much to ask from, everybody, but what I so want is for people to just take the positive from it, man. The complaining about this stuff was so frustrating because we were already getting frustrated at how much people were complaining about how the game was. So they try to do some fun stuff. They change it around, and yes, it's obvious. I will agree and hop on the bandwagon that they didn't necessarily think all of the events all the way through. But it's just like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of positive. I think the events were fun. We're obviously pushing towards something. And yeah, I don't know. Just stop whining. Stop. Everybody, just stop whining. Please. Last thing, did you see the whole, it was when they announced that Gluhar was busting up into labs. Did you ever see One Peg or Nice Guy's video where there was more text? You know how when you write, there's two pieces of paper. You write on the top one, you pull the other one away, you can kind of see the text on the second piece of paper. There was imprinted text, and Nice Guy and these guys cranked up the contrast and pulled down the saturation, and it revealed a bunch of text. And then they had somebody translate it from Russian, and it was this whole thing about how I'm not going to try to quote it because I can't remember, but it kind of felt like it was talking about the Black Division. It talked specifically about how secure containers aren't as secure as we think or something like that. It was crazy, ethereal, nutty Tarkov stuff, but nothing was specific, but it was alluding to this craziness. And a few people did videos about it, and I was like, whoa. And that just flew under the radar because it had no impact on the game today, but it was it was there for a reason, and it was crazy stuff. It was. I'm
gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, it was wild. It was interesting. Everyone's like, "Is the Black Division gonna be able to get into our secure containers or whatever?" And I was like, I wouldn't worry about that. But it was really interesting. Yeah, really interesting. So that's what's been going on. Those are the events. Those are our thoughts. I think everybody's on the same page that it's we have not heard the words come out of Nikita's mouth, which we normally do by now. We are going to wipe the game, but it's looking like this week they're going to wipe the game, fresh start. We have a few days.
Oh, there's one other thing there. So at one point with the fog event, they posted a week's weather report. Weather. So it was foggy all through the 29th, and then on the 30th. The sun comes out. So that makes, honestly, that to me is the most compelling because that would be Tuesday or Wednesday or something. So that to me seems like the most compelling. If I had to put down, $100 on what day the wipe was, I'd probably say the 30th.
Yeah.
No, but
I was
who knows?
That
maybe this is all either a big fucking joke or they were we didn't even think that anybody would think that this was a wipe.
I know. Part of me hopes that they just pull the rug out and they do something crazy and they don't wipe. Just
what they're gonna do because
for the shenanigans.
The whole UN thing was it made me think what if they wiped our stashes and all of our money, but now we're all just level 64 with nothing. Wait, we still have our skills. I don't know. There's a million things they could do. Who the fuck knows?
Soft wipe or do something crazy.
Yeah.
They did that one other time, right? Where they did a wipe where you got to keep your soft skills or something. I think once they did something weird like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, that was a big giant fucking mistake.
It was a cluster. It was. Or they they wiped soft skills halfway through a wipe. That is when
so
everyone was level 40 with level 1 strength. It was so weird.
Yeah, it was just totally disproportionate and really awkward, and it tested scenarios that wouldn't ever happen.
Yeah.
You have somebody with level 1 strength but with all the top tier gear. So it wasn't even effective as a test.
Yep. And it was annoying as a test.
Yeah. So then, but then like 3 weeks later, they fucking did like the full wipe or whatever the hell it was. I don't know. It was just like, but again, that's one of those things where it's like, if you're gonna change the skills, you need to keep in mind all these other things. Like people just, never mind. I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah. So, anyways, the other Tarkov thing was like one of the, at least for me, most anticipated features of 12.11 is the optics rework. And you did your video on the optics rework, or just not on optics and how the current optics work. And like, I knew a little bit about it because we had talked about it a little bit, but it really was mind blowing. You put into perspective a lot of different things, because I think a lot of players are like me, where they just haven't even used an ACOG in 2 years because they just remember it sucks. And we go, yeah, eye relief, it's bad, it's whatever. And you realize that like exactly how much FOV you lose, how much of the screen the housing takes up, how much is the eye relief, how a bunch of different stuff. And I was like, whoa. And then you start superimposing, like, let's bring the ACOG up to the size of a voodoo and then replace the picture. And I was like, oh my God. And it definitely got me excited. It was crazy. And then even the real life comparison of like, you use some of those Grand Thumb videos, and
I never heard of the guy until
come on, Flannel Daddy.
Dude, all of the comments were like,
so
Flannel
good.
Daddy. I thought fucking Landmark was Flannel Daddy. Everybody talks about fucking Flannel. But now it's funny that like, I guess that he's a bunch of content.
He's got great videos. I mean, if you're into gun stuff, dude, he's got great videos.
I mean, that one video I saw was like, this is fucking exactly what I need for this video. Exactly. So I'm glad I found it.
He's hit a few. He always does. If you've seen any of his videos, he always starts with, if you've ever done something, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And he was reviewing an AK, and he was like, if you've ever wanted to build an AK because of Escape from Tarkov, go ahead and hit that subscribe. He's streamed Escape from Tarkov before. Yeah, 100%.
No way.
100%. Flannel Daddy.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. It was so funny because I'm like, Grand Thumb? Like, what a weird name, like all this stuff. And I just remember everybody was like, oh my God, Grand Thumb. It's like, oh, that's a dude? Like, didn't even know he was.
It has something to do with when you're top loading an M1 Garand, the slide would like clip people's thumbs. If you did it wrong, you would pinch your thumb, and it was like called Garand Thumb or something like that. And his first video he ever posted was like, just do it this way. Yeah, it was like, just do it this way, idiot. You'll never clip your thumb if you do it this way. Boom. That was his first video, and his channel's name was Grand Thumb. And mind blown.
Shit. Yeah, my grandfather had a
really
Garand that a long story. My grandmother, after he passed, my grandmother lived in Massachusetts and basically was like, I don't know what the gun laws are.
Oh yeah.
So she just brought it to the police station, was like, here, and just gave it to them. And so like I remember one day being like, hey, where's whose rifle? She's like, oh, I gave it to the, I'm like, you fucking what?
No.
I've never been so mad at my grandmother before, dude.
No. They were like, oh, sick.
Yeah, the dude was like, oh yeah, we'll dispose of this. The guy's like, fucking bonus.
Yeah, 100%.
That's hanging above his fucking fireplace.
100%.
But yeah, so that video actually ended up being, that was literally, the whole beginning part was supposed to be like the intro.
Okay.
I had about 6, picture like an hour-long video. It ended up being about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
About 12 of those minutes were supposed to be the beginning. And then I was going to talk about a million other things. And then I got that Discord message with all of the quote-unquote leaks, which I'm almost certain I know what they are. And they're not leaks. The best explanation that I have, because I've looked into all of them, the most likely explanation is, you know how there's the offline Tarkov single player mod?
Yeah.
So it was all of, because I came across some videos too. What those were essentially, because there's a whole modding community around that. Yeah. It was that single player mod, and the community created the animations and the models or rip them from other games. So it was just the people who have access to the shit that I want Battlestate to fix, like moving where things are, like they just were able to do that in the modded single player version of the game that I won't condone you play. I think it's against the terms of service. Blah blah blah. Whatever. I said my piece. I don't fucking care. But so that's why like they weren't photoshopped. Because that's what a lot of people were saying, like, oh, these are fake. But it's like then you watch a video of a dude like fucking reloading in like woods of a scar, and it's like, this is not Photoshop.
Yeah.
It's either somebody, and at first I was like, it's somebody who like literally replicated woods perfectly and like the gloves of the USEC perfectly, or it's battle states. But that's a false dichotomy because it's like, no, it's someone who essentially took battle states thing and then mucked around with it.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I sent the message to Nikita with a picture, and I was like,
"This you?"
Honestly, this is when there was a period where I was convinced that it was real, and I actually, like Dan Exert had some tweets and some stuff talking about it. I was actually still convinced that. Because when you look at the models that they released on like Instagram, it has like the FN Herschel whatever like logo, like the emblem. I was actually like, there's a good chance maybe they like couldn't get licensing, so like they scrapped the emblem on the model and then just went with like a serial number, and then they just like are using a placeholder in the leaks or whatever. Like, so there were reasons why a lot of the things, like the things that they quote unquote dug into, I was like not necessarily convinced.
Yeah.
It was only because like I just didn't know that. I knew there was a single player Tarkov mod, but I didn't know that it had been modded to the extent where it's like completely new guns and things that look just like a BSG fucking
made them,
mega quixel scanned them 3D, whatever. But I asked him because I was under the impression that like I found a leak that maybe they leaked on purpose, maybe they didn't, but I wanted to be like, yo, were these you guys? Because they're like amazing. So I thought I was gonna like make him have like a smile, like, oh yeah, and I said, is this like, did you guys preview these or something on a podcast I missed, or are they leaks or whatever? And I said, if so, they look fantastic. If not, it's amazing how good the fakes are. And he responded with, and then I was like, I have no idea what to make of that, with like the laughing, crying emoji. And he said, anyway, let's wait for the fixes on optics. So I'm like, oh, like he either didn't know or was like, I bet you he looked at that and was like, huh, like that looks good, but it's not our game. Like, but it is our game.
Oh no.
So I mean, it's hard to tell with Nikita.
Veritas just like puts his phone down on the desk.
Yeah, it's hard to tell like with the inflection with the text and whatever. I don't know. But I just saw that and was like, oh. That made me. I went from like hating optics to then accidentally like coming across like this thing that I thought was like really exciting and getting excited about it, to then now I'm like, oh no, it's not gonna be as good as.
Yeah, I was like, bro, imagine they come out and it's like,
it has to be. It has to be better. Like it better be better than my Photoshops.
Yes, please. Yeah. Because
like my Photoshops were like okay.
Yeah.
But all they do is demonstrate how in 2 seconds you can make it suck less by changing a couple of things.
100%.
Here's what you change.
Yeah.
My wife bought me fucking hot dogs and beans, and I'm eating them because I haven't eaten at all today, and it's 8:20. I literally haven't eaten today. It's 8:20.
Eat your hot dogs and beans. It was in anticipation, just in case there wasn't a wipe, because we didn't know like a few days ago. I have an items case. I have 2 items case filled with ACOGs, LCANs, the EOTechs with the magnifiers on them, every red dot, because I was like, if there's not a wipe, this junk is going to be sold out 24/7 because everybody's going to want it. So I got items cases full of optics, but I
had one of those giant backpacks full of one of every optic that I used for the testing, because I figured, I'll just hold on to them after the patch, not thinking they were going to wipe. Yeah. But then today so now I have all of the optics. I think I'm just going to like try to use one every raid.
Like, and just burn into your memory, like
use some of the shitty ones, and
I'm super excited about that though. I'm super excited about the optic rework and the and it was super interesting. Yeah, some of the like discrepancies on like the ACOG in real life has a crazy field of view, like
that's
far
what it's known
and away.
for.
Yeah. And then you like put it on and you're like, holy cow, I can't see anything. You know what I mean? Like, but then it was like the inverse. And then like the Voodoo or the Valde has like a really bad field of view in real life, but it's like the most used gun, most used optic in Tarkov, something like that. It was super interesting to see how some of them got so flipped.
Dude, I was actually like really excited. I just like when these accidental things happen where it was like I was watching the video with the grand thumb, and then there's another one that I linked in there where you had the dude with like the ACOG, he put it in front, and then he like moves forward, and then you see like, oh shit, like all of that stuff just suddenly becomes like apparent, and then that was I think probably the best. Like Grand Thumb's explanation of what I really was and everything like was great, but that really was like the next level of oh well, now I know what it's like to be on, you know, this side of the scope and to do that. And so, but having the images that I could from both of those videos, I literally took the screenshots and was like, looked at them side by side with the fucking pictures I took of the optics and was like, it was so, in terms of how much of the screen it took up, and I just happened to pause on the right time where it was like, this is a 4X and it looks exactly like you know, the fucking Valde, and like this is supposed to be the, you know, the ACOG, and it looks exactly like it was crazy how they were opposite of what they should have looked like.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And it's weird because I just went through that in real life. Like I've been modding out my AR. I've got a primary arms 1:6X variable optic, and I went shooting with it, and I was experiencing that for the first time, like trying to get used to shouldering the rifle at a place where consistently where I feel like I've got a good sight picture. You know what I mean? If you're rolled too far to the right or the left, you see so much left, you know, you have to push up. I shot like Lennon brought some stuff, and I was shooting some of his, which had a drastic difference. I had to push so much closer on his optic, and like I was like just last week I was like experiencing this and like, okay, this has to be repeatable, this has to be comfortable, I have to, you know, find a good cheek weld. And so it was interesting to see how that is why these optics, like it's like you showed. It was one of the ones you showed. Oh, it was the ACOG. It was like when you took the picture of the real life gun, like the guy had, it was mounted so far back because of how little the eye relief is. But in Tarkov, it's just mounted forward. You can't get your eye that close. Yeah. And so it almost is like literally
That's why it like looks better on like when you put some scopes on like a hammer looks better when you put it on like an MP7 because the rail's only this long.
Exactly.
So it's right up next to your fucking eye.
Yeah.
And that's the most amazing thing, and I actually wanted to make this point in the video and I didn't. How, like, I'm amazingly impressed with the fact that they've replicated how the optics work so precisely that if you install it incorrectly, it doesn't work right.
Yeah.
But the worst part is that they installed it incorrectly.
And they don't let you change it. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, it blew my mind that it's like these optics are really physicalized on these weapons. They're just welded to the gun in the wrong spot. Like they don't really have to fix the ACOG if you just let me
so much more
click it.
Yeah.
Than AI, if you just let me click it back 6 notches, it would be perfect. It's so weird, bro.
I'm telling you,
weird.
whoever is responsible for doing the optics, like I don't know how they did it. Like there's a world in which they literally like went through and did all of the physical like light simulation, whatever. I doubt that's the case. It's probably something that's like pretty well good enough.
Yeah.
But you know, has the same sort of effect. But it's like, have that guy also do the fucking AI when he's done, because like he understands how like a system works, and that guy is smart enough, you know,
to understand how everything comes together.
Because that guy would be able to ask the question of, how do I, like, why would I turn and shoot at that guy over there? Because I see him. Why do I see him? Because his shirt contrasts enough with the bush he's standing behind that I would be able to see him. But if he had a green shirt, I wouldn't have been able to see him. Or if I was moving or foggy, like, that's the guy that has the attention to detail that the AI doesn't have.
Yep.
You know?
Bro, imagine being able to like hide in bushes from AI. Like, have you ever like been running, you hit it, you're in a bush, and then you hear PMCs and they run right by you because they can't see you? Like, have you ever been in one of those positions and you hear from freaking, woods, one on Suka, and people start shooting? It's like, how do you see me, bro? Like, imagine being able to like hide from AI. Like, that'd be wild.
There needs to be some sort of representation of,
because there is
of the quote unquote either blind spots or the perception of. I mean, ultimately, one of the ways you could do it is just figure out if you're standing there and you're focused on one particular element in the distance, right? Just imagine, and this is where I would start as someone who's never built video game AI before, but I'm an engineer, so I'm trying to figure out how I would solve this problem. I would be at the starting place of when someone runs in the left of my peripheral vision. Half the time I don't see it because my eyes are looking in like the right hand, or whatever. Even though my head might be looking in that direction, my eyes might, whatever. But you just start to realize, like, what is it why can't I see him? Why do I notice him? And then also, why don't I?
Yeah.
Oh, because there's trees swaying, and the same thing where like a person running, if there was a black silhouette on a white wall, the contrast would stick out like that.
Yeah.
Whereas someone running when there's something, the trees are swaying over here, and this person's this small, like that is really hard for your eyes to pick out.
Yep.
So you want to figure out like why do our perception, our senses work the way that they do, and then figure out as much as you can to simulate that in some way. Like the first thing that comes to mind, and this is, I'm sure, not a good way. Maybe it is. I don't know. But it's pretty naive. But just imagine if the AI only quote unquote saw two colors, white and red, and your PMCs were just painted red. And if if there was a representation of all of the textures, just like how they have like there's an invisible wall where they do like the occlusion. You basically have an invisible wall. There's a wall that's like vision, where you represent the environment, where it's like, this is an opaque wall. This is a clear wall with 50% opacity, and a bush is like, could be the same as a smoked window in terms of like, you'd essentially have at any given snapshot in time, how much red is visible when you have somebody running. And if it's 2 pixels, they don't see you.
Yeah.
It has to be a certain amount of pixels or a certain amount of movement or for a certain amount of time, like these thresholds between like, when do they see you? When do they hear you? Like, are they shooting a gun? Then they don't hear your footstep 100 meters away on gravel. Like, these are the things that they need to do. And it's not easy, but it's also not fucking rocket science.
Yeah. It's doable. Yeah. So the optic video was dope. Super excited to see that be a part of it. I think that like that's not gonna like drastically change how the game is played, but I do think the optic rework could have a big effect on early wipe, because everybody's just basically like trying to get to the PKO6 and the EOTech. But
you get the PSO first is like the first thing that you can use, and like the OKP7.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like, then you just need to get rails so that you can use the fucking PKO6.
But like,
and then the Valde.
The ability to use like the Weaver or the Burris, you know what I mean? Like stuff that's available relatively early on, and use it and it be good. Like, that could be pretty sick. So I'm excited to see if it is a wipe and we're all starting fresh. Like, I'm excited to be, buying some of these cheap optics that might be, they don't have to be like the best in the game, but better than garbage. You know what I mean? So,
and then it just adds to all of the, when Nikita's like, I want to add 8 billion guns and 8 billion optics. It's like, if only 1% of them are the best, and you can get anything and everything else is useless, then all this variation is pointless.
Yeah, because everyone's
you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
if
everything's viable, every gun you get will be different.
Yes.
There will be no meta. Everything can kill you in 1 to fucking 4 bullets.
Mm-hmm.
So just make everything like perform exactly the same. There's no reason one needs to be +1 ergo and -1 ergo and then +2 ergo and then -3 fucking recoil, and it's like, There should just be like 3 tiers.
Yeah, no,
and
I mean,
then if you have 100 fucking grips on them, just break it up.
We've talked about that before. If they want to bring the RPG element into weapon mods, then you have to accept that there will be a meta. There will never not be a meta if this grip does more recoil reduction than all the rest. That's how it is. If you want the RPG elements and like soft skills and leveling, that's cool. But if you want, then just build all your stats into the gun, the base gun, and make all the attachments fall into like 1 to 3 tiers. And now they'll perform fine. You can still balance the guns. You can still make guns better or worse, but there will be an infinite amount of M4s you'll come across, or HKs, as opposed to one. You know what I mean? And you just can't have it both ways. It's like if everything's got a number value and one of them is better, you'll always have a meta. Always. Like, you know.
But then what they do, their solution to that is, we'll make that the best one super expensive and or really rare and or limited. So then it's like you get that one if you can. Otherwise, you just get the next one down.
Yep.
And there's no reason to use anything less than that, right? And it's like, well, then the solution is just make the second one not fucking work properly, or we nerf it. It's like, okay, well then now you've just replaced it with another thing.
Yep. So that's Tarkov. We got lots of events. We got I'm glad we waited a little bit so we could see some more of the events and kind of what happened today. It's all pointing towards a wipe. If you are watching this, let's say Monday, and there is information that came out tomorrow, which would be Sunday, please don't yell at us in the comments. We are not clairvoyant. We are trying our best. So that's Tarkov.
Yeah, if the year is 2022, if you complain about fucking anything,
we won't read your comment. So because it'll be too long, it'll be too far in advance.
No, I'll read your comment and I will type out a fucking 17 paragraph response. Realize I've wasted my time. Delete it all, write it again, have my wife proofread it, delete it all, and then I'll realize I just wasted my time, and then I'll go do something productive. So if you want to waste 2 hours of my fucking life, then yeah, write some boneheaded comment.
A year from now
about shit that we couldn't have possibly known.
So yeah, that's Tarkov. We're already running at 1 hour 36. I just want to really quickly, I want to get your thoughts going back to the Poggers things on the Bo Burnham special. You said you watched it. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Everybody was it's so weird, like expectations.
Exactly. That's why I tried to just be like, hey, watch this. In my message, I tried not to set any expectation. I was like, watch this. I think you'll like it.
Well, so you were the last person, like the 100th person to say
figured,
something. Everybody else
which
was
makes
like,
me sad.
did you see Bo Burnham's inside? I didn't know it was like, it was essentially like a comedy, like a stand-up act.
Yeah.
I was under the impression it was going to be like a documentary talking about like content creation or something, like based on what people were saying. It was totally different than what I expected, but I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I fucking loved it. I loved it. Literally every time I watched it over the course of 3 nights, and every time all it did is just inspire me.
Yes.
To want to I want to make more parody music. I'm like, I want to do this. I want to write. One of the songs at the end was like the final songs was like Wicked Joji-esque, and was like, God, this is so fucking good. Like, it just made me want to make music and like make the stream look cooler with light. Like I was just inspired. And the other thing I'll say is I was worried because, I mean, I feel like I grew up while Bo Burnham was growing up. Right?
100%.
I remember being at a college party and he was there. I didn't meet him, I didn't talk to him, but he was there because he grew up in Massachusetts. And so it's just like, part of me was like, oh no, I was kind of worried because the things I laugh at now and my sense of humor and everything is so different than when I was in college or when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Like, I just cringe at all of the stuff, right? So I'm like, I was worried it was just going to be a lot of, I think some of his earlier stuff, a lot of it was kind of like, it was, and I loved it then, and I would probably still love it now, but it's different in that, I don't want to say like not mature, but it was I'm gonna say fuck in a song that sounds like a children's song.
Yeah.
That's what was like novel about it.
Exactly.
It was like clever and funny, and he was edgy, and I liked that. I was worried that
it was gonna still be that.
That he was just gonna make a bunch of like the same jokes everybody was making about the pandemic and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh god, I was just worried that I was gonna this is gonna ruin my memory of like Bo. But instead it was like all of the things I'm like, please don't make this mistake where, like there was a couple times where he talked about like suicide and a few other things where I'm like, it would be so easy for him to say this one thing that would fucking kill this joke for me or at the end have something happen and it would fucking kill it for me. He just didn't.
Yep.
So I need to go back and watch it again, knowing that I was almost had like my defenses up.
Yeah,
I thought I was
gonna
have I was like, something's gonna fuck this up for me. I need to go back and watch it and just listen to it again. It's so fucking
You should.
good,
I watched it a second time. Like I watched it and then I was like, I talked to my wife. I was like, yo, you have to watch this. So I watched it again and I enjoyed it. Probably more the second time. Like it's like, so first of all, I wanted you to watch it so bad because I was like, we've both done all those things separately and some of them together. Like, he wrote the music, he recorded the music, he performed the music, he filmed it, he directed it, he edited it, and he did it in such like a meta way where like he's like filming himself, editing to then edit.
It reminded me of my video essay.
Me of your video essay. And so we both have done all of those things at different levels of like stacking them all. But he's so good at what he does. Like he's funny. It was really poignant. And he evolved in a way that like he wasn't too hitting a nail on the head. He wasn't too this or too that. He's good at what he does, but he's good at everything else too. Like from a cinematographer's standpoint, like as a video, I did that for a living. Thinking one camera in one room, there were so many practical effects for like the sexting song, the projector that he shined on his face, that the projector was going to the time of the music. Some of the shots where all you had to do was push in for 60 seconds, pull out for 60 seconds, and how different that changes the shot. Like how if it really truly was one camera, there were a few shots where he was like looking at multiple angles. So he would have to set up the camera and then go, where did I look from? I looked from here. So then he'd look down and then he would go like this. And then he would move the camera and go, I'm looking from here now. And then he would go like this.
And at no point did it seem like he was lip syncing. It all felt like it was
the cut
being performed live, but it was too perfect to have been live.
Yeah.
So it's like there's so many elements that he lined up and did perfectly. Yeah. For all the shit I learned from every frame of painting, I'm like, the fucking blocking 100%. And the lighting, I'm like, dude. It was so like, not only was it really good, not only were the songs phenomenal, really well produced, really catchy, I've been singing them, but the fact that he single-handedly did everything else and people don't realize, the thousands of hours, like you with like how long it took for you to make your how to make a video essay. Like that's infinitely more time than you think it is. And to do that over the course of an entire year, like it was just really good. And I was like, I know Veritas is going to appreciate this, and you totally should watch it again because like you know what to expect now, and you get a whole different vibe from it. And it's just like, wow, it was just the most creative thing I'd seen in a really long time. It was so good. And he did probably the hardest thing on planet Earth. He successfully achieved. And it's the thing that like, I am always cringing at whenever I see any version of, and like what he did was he was able to communicate at least and I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably the same. What goes through my head as somebody who like, I want to live in a modern world where people are equal and, like I want to be realistic about expectations of people, and I want to be what's the word I'm looking for? Not accommodating, like understanding of different points of view and perspectives, accepting, like, but at the same time, like you can't. He's so self-aware that he knows, like, I'm going to talk about equality, and then the fact that I'm sitting here talking about equality is fucking cringeworthy.
Yes.
Why would anybody want to? But then also, like, it's a trope to be like, I'm just the white guy. Look at me. And nobody should listen to me. Like, he was on meta on top of that,
yes.
being like, but it's still, here's why my opinion doesn't matter and why you should discredit it, but it still fucking matters. Because
exactly, he got ahead of everything your brain was gonna do. Where it's like, all right, Bo, like, aren't you gonna use your platform for some good? And then he's like, talks about inequality. And it's like, well, why should we listen to you? We're white. And he's like, why would you listen to a white guy like me? And then we're like, well, but somebody needs to talk about it, and he just gets ahead of it. You know what I mean? The one that blew my mind was the reaction. He did the 30-second intern song, and then he reacted. I was trying to figure out
how he would have done that. I think he would have needed some sort of clock or something
100%.
with a script,
100%,
like something that had a timeline,
which makes it even more impressive.
Plan that out.
Yeah, but like that blew my mind because like it was once again, he's digging through the subconscious layers of your mind that happen in an instant where you say something and then you hate that you said it because you do this, and you know that you only said it because of this, but that makes you feel like a crappy person. And that all happens in an instant in our brains and we don't realize it. And he just slowly unwound that, where he makes a song and then he reacts to the song, where he explains the song. And then he's like, well, I explained that a bit pretentious. I do that. I don't know why I always feel like I need to be loved. And then he's reacting to that and he's saying, I call myself pretentious because I'm afraid people are going to call me pretentious. So if I call myself pretentious, and that don't, and it just goes and goes, and then it gets louder, and it's just simulating this like this fog and this noise in your own head. And I was like,
dude, it's the perfect metaphor for any podcast I've ever been on.
Oh my God.
With any Talking Tarkov I've ever been on. If you watch that, that's me. As soon as I start to say, all right, I have an idea and I know this idea is good, I'm going to try and communicate it. Okay. and then it starts. And then it starts, and I see, one of the content creators doing this, and I'm reading chat, and I'm talking, and I've already gone 4 layers deep, and like, fuck, shit, balls, oh God, dude, I'm telling you, that's what goes through my head pretty much every moment I'm fucking live, and every video I make, I spend all this time making a video, I put it out, and as soon as I put it out, I'm like, I fucking hate it, and then I hate that I hate it, and dude, so it was a piece of art.
It really was. It really. I don't know. It just really was like, and that's the thing is that, man, like I've been trying to like, I have personally been trying to really hold back expectations when I tell people things. Cause it's just like, man, I hate that that's where we are now, where it's like, anytime I want to tell my friend to watch anything, I want to tell him it's the best thing I've ever seen, because I really want to make sure he watches it. But then by telling him it's the best thing I've ever seen, got him to watch it, but he's like, this isn't the best thing I've ever seen. And so
8 out of 10, and they've been let down.
Exactly. And I've been getting in my head about that. So I tried really hard to be like, have you seen this? And you're like, nope. And I was like, please just watch it. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's definitely taking a life of its own, and it's like trending everywhere. And like, sometimes that makes me wonder if that makes him sad, that just like these little snippets of it trend, and then you kind of miss a lot of the point. But I was like, I don't know how to say this. I was like, just watch it. It's good. You know what I mean? And
that's the other part, is that like, I bet you a lot of like the wide reception of it, it's not self-aware.
Correct.
So I bet you he's probably like people would just be like, oh, the music's great and he's really funny, and it's like, fuck off. You know? Like,
for sure.
Damn it,
100%.
Oh my God. Yeah. I can just see that.
100%. So it's like, but it really was like, it was probably the most creative thing I've seen just in a really long time. It was probably the most impactful things to me. Not like, and that's the point, not in a way of like, you should listen to Bo Burnham's opinion about anything, but just more of like, wow, like that got me to think. In an era where everything that tries to get you to think immediately comes off as infinitely cringy, and the last thing it makes me want to do is think, I sat down and watched that, and I was just like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that was creative. Wow, like, maybe I should think about it. Maybe one song hits you or that. Like, welcome to the internet. That whole, like, you know, can I interest you in anything all the
Everything,
time?
yeah.
And like the whole, man, the line, and it affected me because I'm a parent. And the line that he slows that song down and he goes back to the, like, you know, it wasn't always like this before the towers fell, circa 99. He was like, you know, mommy gave you her iPad, you were only 2, and it did all the things we designed it to do. And like, we're in that era where it's like, I've got a 3-year-old, I've got an infant, and it's like, so it wasn't like Bo Burnham trying to preach or teach me about anything, but it was just this super meta, artistic, creative take on culture right now. It was just good. Like, you know what I mean? It's not going to change the world. It's not going to win an Oscar. It was just good, man. And
it should fucking win an Oscar.
It should.
Yeah, there's two things before I forget. I wanna touch on. One, at one point in one of the songs, he says the word diminished on a diminished chord.
Oh, does he really?
And I was like, I wanted to tweet at him just for that, because you know that was just a subtle thing.
Yeah.
Where it was just like,
oh, do returns always diminish? That's the line.
And then he says something like, did that make sense, or did that work, or whatever?
Yeah.
I forget what it was, but I was just like, oh damn, that was fucking good. Like,
oh my God.
Just so subtle.
Yep.
That's something that, like, I think he'd want people to appreciate little moments like
for sure.
that, along with all of the other meta stuff.
His AC unit, the little AC unit that was on that wall, right? Like, was off the entire special except for during the song "Sexting." It was on and set to 69.
Fuck, that's good.
Like, it, dude, he thought about it so much, dude.
Yeah. So, but the biggest thing, and I mean, I guess I kind of already said this, but I want to say it in a different way. The biggest thing that he was able to do is communicate the feeling that I've had, which is like, I want to be a good person.
Yep.
But I'm also aware that my privileged position makes everybody skeptical of me.
Yes.
But at the same time, he says the thing that I want to say, that's like, yeah, I'm privileged and I'm a white cis dude, you know, as you know, upper middle class, whatever. But all that you can ask for is that, like, I want good for you.
Yeah.
So please go easy on me a little bit. I'm going to try my best and it's going to fall short, but I mean well, you know, so like, help me, help you, help me, help you, help me, you know, like whatever. It was just that tiptoeing around of like, he's the only person that's ever been able to make me feel like, oh shit, I'm not the only cis white dude, you know.
For sure. He rode that line straight down the razor's edge the entire special. And it was just,
which I don't think anybody's ever fucking done ever.
Yeah, for 5 minutes, let alone 90 minutes. You know what I mean? Like it. So it was really good. So yeah, I was pumped you watched it. I'm glad you liked it. It was interesting. It was good.
And now I have nothing to watch. I've watched fucking everything, dude, and I need another channel to binge. A few of the channels that we talked about before that I really liked some of the content, they might have 100 videos and like 3 or 4 of them I really like that one. Ristic Studies had a bunch of really cool ones talking about like one particular artist in Magic, and they talked about, I thought those were great. Then like a lot of the other things, like I don't want to know about the lore of Ravnica. I didn't play Magic at that time, so it's just not that interesting. It's like Battlestar Galactica Season 3 recap. Like I didn't see any of it, so why the fuck do I care? I need a channel that I can binge. The JCS fucking criminal whatever. I hate that there was only like 12 videos because I finished it in like 2 days. I need something.
Yeah. I'm kind of in a YouTube hole right now as well. Yep.
I'll ask you this. Did you ever watch True Detective?
Yes.
Okay, so season 1. I
didn't finish season 2. I watched season 1 and 3.
1 or 2 episodes. It was different people. I don't care.
Yeah.
That True Detective season 1 was
real good.
It might as well have just been a movie. Like the fact that there's a season 2 is irrelevant to me. It doesn't exist. It's not canonical. I love the fucking tone and Matthew McConaughey's character.
Yep.
And I just love like the antagonist and just the whole thing, dude. I just fucking love
that. Was
like
really good.
Oof, fucking so good. Okay, well, I was gonna recommend that to you, but you've seen that already.
Really good. Yep. Season 3 was pretty good. Like, it, just a different story completely. I didn't finish season 2, but season 3 was good.
Meh.
Oh,
maybe I'll give it a try. Did you read The Jaunt yet?
No,
Dude, you know how many people have been like? I probably had 50 separate people been like, either in comments or coming in chat and been like, The Jaunt, you fucked my life. Like,
I've had like 10 people come in and be like, bro, have you read The Jaunt yet? And I'm like, no, I need to read it. I need to find like the PDF or whatever. And
I sent it to you.
I don't think you did. I think you thought you did.
I might have put it in chat maybe, and then you forgot about it.
Oh, maybe.
I'll go ahead and I'll type The Jaunt PDF into Google and get you the fucking link. Don't worry.
Yeah. That's a lot of work, bro. I don't. That's a lot of work.
I think there's also, I think someone actually does a reading of it on YouTube also, which it might be like an hour. You might just want to like listen to it.
I would totally do that, actually.
I'll find that for you later.
And anyways, yeah, I need to read that.
I need something though. I need something that like not something that'll last me some. I need to just get into something.
Yeah.
I might just watch Dark again. I don't know.
I mean, if
honestly, as I love Dark. This is weird to say because I love the series and everything about it, but my favorite part is always just the intro song.
Oh yeah.
I like that's so I'm the most hyped for that, and then the episode starts. I'm like, okay, cool, but I'm kind of always a little sad because I just love that fucking song, dude.
I mean, if you want something to hold you over, we talked about this. Like, weirdly, if you just like dope stuff and fast cars, the Drive to Survive, the Formula One documentary series on Netflix is 3 seasons. It's really good.
Oh, okay. So okay, wait,
it's not story driven or anything, but it's just good.
Fine.
It's cool.
You recommended it to me, and then I forgot what it was. So I just see Drive to Survive, and I just think it's like Fast and the Furious episode 7. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I just looked at it. I'm like, I'm not even gonna. But if I do Formula One documentary, now I'm suddenly interested. It's like, I either need some long form like nonfiction, you know, whether it's like true crime or whatever, or I need some real like physicsy, good, like mind fucking sci-fi or something, you know, like Annihilation.
But I mean, I think that's everything.
I think so.
We
should maybe we should well, I'm sure we'll be talking about maybe next week the wipe if it happens.
We'll probably be talking about that.
But if you and don't, the moment I start getting like messages from all of the suggestions we've gotten for content to check out, they've all been fucking good. All of them. They've all been good. The moment that it starts to be overwhelmingly bad, I'm no longer going to ask your advice, okay? So don't, if you're not fucking sure I'm going to love it.
And you know what we like now because we've talked about quite a bit of stuff.
From true crime to sci-fi to documentaries to fucking, you know, comedy to whatever. I need something that will last me like weeks. Hit
us up.
So there you go.
Hit us up. But yeah, thank you guys all for hanging with us, talking through a lot of Tarkov stuff, a lot of craziness going on, and some of just the Poggers things that we like. We'll see. We'll kind of figure out as it happens next week. You know what I mean? If for some reason they wipe on Thursday, we might not do it that day if we're playing and or just trying to get caught up on what's going on. You know, so we'll, bear with us. We're excited to see what happens and definitely talk a lot about whatever's going on. But thank you guys for hanging with us. We'll have this up. I'll try to basically edit this tomorrow and have it up like first thing Monday morning so that there's the least amount of time between just in case anything happens. And then we'll kind of take next week as it goes. So thank you guys for hanging with us and everybody listening, and a lot of cool things happening in Tarkov, and we'll definitely be excited to talk about it next week.
Peace.